Alright, so as you guys see by the title of the video, in this video I'm mostly going to be speaking on AI, right? And I think we all are somewhat familiar with AI. We've all heard of like the dangers, the way it's going to affect the world, how it's going to change the economy, how it's going to change everything, right? The way I'm looking at it is we're going to be basically forced into a situation unlike anything ever before, right? Because we've always in human history been in situations where we have to adapt. You know, whether it was adapting to a new environment, whether it was adapting to a new regime. You know, um, there's been many obstacles that humanity has had to face throughout time, right? But the difference is that all those previous ones kind of only affected certain groups of people, right? So, for like instance, issues that affect parts of like Africa don't affect the rest of the world. So, like when they're talking about they got warlords that are fighting for different regions in Africa and things of that nature. That's not something that other parts of the world are dealing with. They still have wars, but whatever is affecting one specific country typically is not the same exact thing that's affecting another country. So this is like the first time in history where, I mean, besides the pandemic, where it's one thing that's affecting the globe entirely, no matter what level you're on. And I would say this is even obviously even more important than the pandemic because this has to do with people's job, not just their health and freedom of movement. But this has to do with basically everything, not just the job, but eventually these AIs are going to be put in place to they're already in place to approve like job applications, but soon they're going to be utilized to approve any type of, anything like any type of government or business credentials or verification has to be done. Eventually, it's going to be passed over to AI. So it's not just something that's affecting one small group of people or one region of people or one race of people. It's affecting humanity as a whole. So when something does that, that leads me personally to believe that we're going to have to adapt to a much higher rate than we ever have before for previous circumstances, previous obstacles, previous, turmoil that we had to overcome. And why I say I feel like it's going to take even a much higher level of adaptation is because it's not going to be through normal means. I feel like we can overcome this. People before it was like, okay, you just got to get smarter, right? When the world started getting industrialized, people had to learn how to use machines, so they had to get smarter, right? And we went from just learning how to just use hand tools to, okay, now you got to learn how to operate machinery and technology. You know what I'm saying? So people had to learn how to use smartphones, computers, radars, all these other, new type of technology that the military been had, but now it's becoming commonplace for, the average job to have these things. And now, you look around and computers and technologies everywhere. Where at one point, our grandparents, they worked their whole lives almost and never used this modern technology. They never had to use a smartphone in their job. They never had to use a computer in their job. So that was one instance of where a lot of the world had to adapt fast, right? Otherwise, you're getting left behind. Again, this is similar, but it's not the same. In that we have to adapt, but it's like almost a vacuum because it's like, what do we adapt to, right? Like, you can learn how to utilize the AI to your advantage, but I feel like there's a limited window on that because we already see things like Claudebot. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. But we already see certain AI protocols are able to launch basically sub AI. So we already are at a point now where AI agents can make other AI agents and give them instructions. So I don't know if people realize how fast this is advancing, right? So me just applying my level of understanding, my perspective, what I'm saying, the things I've read, I've researched, I've looked into. This leads me to believe that there's gonna have to be some sort of event. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be like a Carrington level event, like a worldwide EMP or something like that. But I don't believe that this system can sustain. In some way, shape, or form, I feel like this is not going to work. I don't believe we're going to truly live in an AI dystopia like Terminator or some shit like that. I don't see that future for us. So now I want to get to what I actually wanted to talk about in this video, which is the possible solutions or outcomes I see for this. And they might sound crazy, they might sound outlandish, but this is just how I see things, right? And I just want to, put my views and my thoughts out there, see how the people respond to it, see how you guys react, see your input. So my basic thought on it is this. We see, right, that a lot of computers, specifically smartphones now, seem to be almost psychic. I don't know if these are black mirrors. I don't know if they're the ultimate surveillance device, which I mean we know they're the ultimate surveillance device. But how are the computers and specifically the smartphones able to predict things so good? Is a predictive model really that good? Because sometimes it'll show me videos about things I've never researched. Some things I've never even spoken out loud, right? So it's like, this thing's almost like psychic. It's almost like telepathic. Is it reading my mind at this point? Like, how is it giving me references that are ads? I can understand if I Google something, then it'd be in my search history, right? It'd be in my data. We all know they're selling data left and right. If I don't verbally express something, I don't type it, basically, it's the only place I know it is at is in my mind. How is the phone able to show me references for this thing? Is the algorithm, is the program, is the AI just that advanced to where it can predict what you want next? Is this a real Black Mirror? What is it? So, again, applying my esoteric understanding of things, as above, so below. You know what I'm saying? As within, so without. So, if we're witnessing a sort of intelligence rise that seems to have almost a psychic or telepathic ability, that will lead me to believe that there's also something happening within us. Now, I'm not just saying that purely because of AI. I'm also saying that because I've recently started to experiment with psychedelics, right? And the psychedelics, that can be a whole separate video. But some of the impressions and some of the experiences and trips I've been on during the psychedelics has made me come to the thought of this is the only way we can really combat something of this level. Because, like, what other option do you have, really? Are you going to go to war with the machines? Is that what it's going to be? It's going to be like Terminator? Except it's not going to go like the movie. Because the protagonist always wins in the movie. Right? But that's not how real life works. So if we really did face a police state with a whole bunch of AI and robots and all that type of shit, I don't think a resistance force is going to be enough to stop that shit. To even try to oppose that shit. It's not going to be enough. You think the sewers is going to be safe? You think they're not going to have drones and shit and all kind of sensors and cameras in the sewers? Once they figure out people are reverting to living in the sewer, then they're going to come and just police that shit too. So where are you going to go? Where's going to be safe? We can't leave Earth. And the fucking AI is going to be all over this bitch. So the only thing I can possibly think of is there has to be two options. Either the AI is not going to be able to fully manifest into what they want it to be through a Carrington level event or something of that nature, like because we're hearing about all kind of solar activity with the sun. We're hearing about, corona holes and shit with the sun. So who knows? There may be some kind of electromagnetic pulse let off by the sun or some shit that just fries the whole electrical grid. They've been talking about that for years now. So who knows? I mean, a lot of things they've been talking about for years is now finally coming to fruition. Like the Epstein files. So, alright, sorry about that. But yeah, like I was saying, a lot of things are coming to fruition now, like the Epstein files, right? That have been rumored, that have been conspiracy for the longest time, to where now it's literally not a conspiracy anymore. They're talking about it on major news platforms. So a lot of things that are considered fringe, that are considered out there, that are considered conspiracy, that are considered weird, it's just because enough people aren't looking into it yet. Once you get the right people to look at it and the right people to sign off on it, then basically the rest of the world believes in it. And that's the only thing that really changed with Epstein files. I mean, like, yeah, more of the files got released, but people have been talking about the situation, you know. But that's besides the point of this video. So again, like I said, I believe it's going to be either a planetary event, like the Carrington event, which I'm less likely to incline to believe that. Which, to be honest, I don't really know if there's any validity to either one of these, to be honest with you. I'm just sharing perspectives and thoughts. My other perspective is that we rapidly begin to develop psychic abilities. Now, this may sound crazy, this may sound fringe, this may sound stupid, whatever you want to say, but anybody who's done research into psychic, like extensive research into psychic or telepathic abilities, clairvoyance, anything like that, remote viewing, they know that the government itself has put research and funding into this. Why would the government fund and research anything that is not somewhat viable, right? It has to have some sort of truth for it to get funding from the government, for the CIA to want to investigate. It's called the Gateway Projects, right? Or the Gateway Operation or something, Gateway something. I'm pretty sure it's Gateway Project. So if they are willing to investigate psychic phenomenon, they even had a movie based on it called Men Who Stare at Goats. I believe there has to be truth behind it. Along with the fact that these black mirrors we carry around seem to almost be telepathic or psychic, right? And then combine that with the fact of, like, I'm starting to see a resurgence of psychedelics, right? For a long time, nobody was even talking about mushrooms. You know, I'm starting to see a personal resurgence in psychedelics, which I can't really say a resurgence because I wasn't here during the hippie movement during the 70s. But I find it odd, the timing of it, right? Like, you're starting to see a resurgence of psychedelics when we're going into a war that the majority of Americans don't agree with. This seems kind of similar to the 1970s, right? Except it was Vietnam. It's almost like they're combining the 2000s with the Middle East with the 70s of, like, the whole anti-government thing. It's like it's a mixture. So just me using my intuition, and, you know, I could be 100% wrong with everything I'm saying right now. I may not know, I don't know jack shit. Who am I? But my belief is that humans will begin to demonstrate more levels of psychic ability. However that may be interpreted. Because I'm not sure if anybody else has noticed, but synchronicities have been happening like crazy lately. Like, you can just be talking to somebody about something, and then like 5 seconds later, you will see it on TV. Or you will hear it on the radio. Like, the synchronicities is crazy. Like, I'm not sure if it's happening like that for everybody else, but the synchronicities in my life for like the past, I'd say about 2 or 3 years, maybe more, it's like almost like I'm watching a fucking movie, my nigga. Like, I'll just be chilling somewhere, and then all of a sudden things will just start matching up, like synchronizing. Like, it's weird. Like, anybody who's experienced synchronicities know what I'm talking about. So I don't really gotta explain that too much. But yeah, just using, I don't know, guys. This is my thoughts on it. I don't know. But I do believe in the ability to have psychic power. I do believe, you know, and just saying that without pretext sounds kind of weird, but if you research, if you research a lot of Chinese tradition, if you research Egyptian mythology, if you research anything that speaks about the spiritual world, energy, and meditation, and focus on your mind, all of them basically talk about becoming psychic. All the ancient, this is in New Age speak. If you look back at ancient yogic practices, if you look at traditional Chinese practices and spiritual systems, and you look at other occult esoteric systems, all of them talk about gaining psychic abilities. They're not saying they're going to start shooting fireballs. They're not saying you're going to start being able to control water. They're saying psychic abilities, and it's in You're going to get information from other places, right? You're going to know what to do without anybody telling you what to do. Like, you're going to just intuitively know in your brain. Like, the information is going to just come to you, right? Like, you're just like an antenna receiving information from the cosmos. Um, and there's other psychic abilities that you can develop as well, but those sound a little bit more outlandish. I'm not going to say they're impossible. I believe that we are miseducated as a people. Because if we really did have psychic abilities, why would anybody even attempt to train us on this, right? Or teach us about this? Like, we aren't at the Professor X Academy, right? They're not going to teach us how to be, how to use our abilities. That's going to be up to us, right? So of course you will never hear about this in school, or you will never hear anybody mention this stuff, because if there were actual psychics, they probably were killed during the witch hunts, and they're going to make sure that no other witches ever discover their abilities ever again. So they're not going to provide you with the methods of discovering this information. But in my eyes, that may be the only tool we have, our mind, to be able to fight against the AI oppressor that's eventually going to arise. Because, again, what else? What other alternative is there? Your job is not infallible. A lot of people who thought they had infallible jobs a couple years ago, they are now jobless. So before your ego inflates to the point where you think you're like a god because you're trade, you might want to think again. Because they're working on these robots and they're working to push them out. Don't think this is just some shit they're using to scare people. No, they're working on it. As we speak. As you're doing your trade job that you feel is irreplaceable, ask everybody else who thought they had an irreplaceable job. So, I don't know. The future looks kind of bleak, but I do feel that there is a light that we could find. I don't know if it'll find us, but maybe we can find it. Um, Again, I don't believe all these ancient traditions spoke on these things for no reason. I don't think they were just passing time. I don't think they were just wasting time writing. And it wasn't like you just grab up a pen, a piece of paper and pen and write back then. These people had to chisel. They had to chisel things in the rocks. So nobody is wasting their time doing that just for some funsies. I don't believe that. I believe they spoke on these things and they made the tablets and the papyruses to because they knew a day like this would come. In a way. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.